608 at WPSL and WSTU. Time now, of course, for our Tuesday night get-together. It's the Quit Coaches Corner. There's always a few coaches hanging around. And, of course, our host, John Messina.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here with my good friend Fred Almade tonight. Fred, how are we doing? Slow time of year. I don't know how much we could talk about high school sports, but we'll get a few things in. It was a lot easier coming down here this week. We didn't have so much rain and everything, but we're getting ready to go here. Just a few things on high schools we want to talk about. First thing, good buddy Danny Neinstein got the job at PSL. He's returning to be the athletic director after 4 years. And I met with him yesterday morning, and we're going to try to set up a nice little show last week in July and have all the football coaches in the county, and have Greg and Fred and myself, and maybe get a high school trainer in from Martin County and talk about all the different aspects of football, the safety-wise, and what they expect for the year. So maybe we can set that up, Fred.
Yeah, they had a nice article in the TC Palm on Danny returning. Danny was on the show last week.
Right.
And had some real complimentary things to say about outgoing AD, Brandon North. But, yeah, Danny seems to be excited about returning as the AD after a couple years of being out of that situation. So that's good for PSL.
I think that's good for everybody in the county because, he wants to restore, what PSL used to have. And they used to be very dominant in the south side before Centennial and Treasure Coast opened up. One thing I want to kind of have a show, and I think we'll have a lot of fun with it, is bring some of the officials on. And officiating is such a tough job. And if you saw the NBA playoffs and the officiating there, I mean, it seems like every time there's a foul call, somebody's screaming. And then also we had the case of Draymond Green. Did he get two technicals or did he not get two technicals?
One step back, I watched the hockey playoffs. Bill Whitehead, our friend from TC Palm, he would know this. Watching the hockey playoffs, and they had Penguins were playing Nashville Predators in a big game, 6. And there's a disputed call on Nashville scoring in the first period. They had to go. The referee had an early whistle, no goal. Kind of changed the complexion of the game. The Penguins ended up winning. So on back-to-back nights, you had big-time NBA Finals and the NHL Finals where you had magnified officials, I want to say blunders. I know they were controversial calls that changed the complexion of the games and in the series.
Do you think over the years instant replay has helped or hurt the official status in doing a game?
Here's what. Now, we'll talk about college football and the pro football. I think it's magnified more.
Yes.
Especially in college football. I know to me, you want to get it right.
Yeah.
But the length that it takes, I think, kind of destroys the flow of the game.
You're going a 4-hour game.
You're going a 4-hour game.
Yeah.
And, being a purist, I like the idea, especially when you're watching Major League Baseball and they have the chart. They superimpose the chart for balls.
Strike zone.
The strike zone
chart, yes.
I mean, come on, the ball's moving and it's coming in at 100th, and you have to be right on it. And it's a computer-generated chart. It looks like you're not doing your job, and that's not an easy thing. So I don't know. Instant replay. Sometimes you take it too far. They do want to get it right, but it's just hot. What can be done? What calls are made, because that's part of the game. Mistakes from the refs, just like mistakes from the players, are all part of the game.
I always think of going back a bunch of years for the Olympics with swimming. When you finished your race, you had a official at each lane, and they would look over and hit the stopwatch. Now everything's electronic, of course. Same thing with the track and field races. Everybody had the stopwatches. Now it's so advanced. I mean, do you think there'll be a time where they'll totally eliminate officials?
No, I can't see, especially in high school.
Yeah.
The amount of we talk about having a third ref in high school varsity games. That's pretty expensive when you're looking at maybe 15 home games, adding another ref for your varsity game for high school sports. So I don't think it'll ever happen because, again, that's part of the game. The purist of of the officials' call and the spontaneity of the officials' call also.
So now we're getting down, and it's kind of the slow season, as you would say. We finished up the basketball, we finished up the hockey, even the NCAA softball, which I loved. And we had the Major League Draft last night, and we start the College World Series. I got a friend of mine from Miami, Paul Maneri, who I worked with. I had the pleasure of teaching with when he was down in Miami. He's the head coach at LSU. Many, many years. Paul used to coach at Columbus when I was at Pace. We were lucky enough to beat them a few times, but Paul's going to the College World Series, and I'm sitting here talking to you. So where's the fairness in this?
I think there's a little bit of money.
A little bit of money difference.
In
there
he's
too,
a great.
Also. Paul's a class act. His father, Demi, was the coach for many, many years at Miami-Dade North. Is just a legend in the Baseball Hall of Fame and everything. You know what I liked about the Major League Draft last night? It was quick. Every 3 minutes. It was 3 minutes or 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes. I like the way they did it on MLB Network. Yeah. They give them 3 minutes. Right. Now, they've only had a year or 4 or 5 years for some of these players to be scrutinized and looked at and see who you want. And you got 40 rounds or 41 rounds. I'm not sure what it is right now. So I'm like you, 3 minutes. Let's see who the next pick is. Yeah. What I also like, if you go onto the internet, they'll tell you the slot money of how much they can make, which is pretty amazing when you look at the first round. Everybody's going to be making at least $2.5 million, I think, as the top 31 picks, and they have some compensatory picks. So, it's the better players are making an outrageous amount of money before they've even played a major league game.
And it's changed so much over the years. In 1990, when Alex Fernandez played for me, and he was drafted in the first round as the fourth pick, he got $450,000. Now that's down to what round? 450.
Well, you're probably looking right now. They've gone through 8 rounds, and I think the 8th round got about $150,000 because, again, there's slot money. Right. Locally, there's nobody been drafted through 8 rounds, but again, there's 40 rounds. So tomorrow's the big day when they pretty much will have it done within 3 hours. It's nice to, as a high schooler, especially in this area or even in Palm Beach, to be drafted. Right. A lot of these kids that are very good players are already signed for colleges, major colleges. You're talking about the World Series. So, it is great for a high school to be drafted, even if you don't pursue it at that point, because after about 8 or 10 rounds, you're getting in. I say this kind of like it's not a lot of money, but you're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 to sign, which is not a lot of money after the 10th round. So, but again, you're playing. Hopefully, you have a dream to play in the major leagues, or at least play in the minor leagues, hoping to get that major league dream fulfilled.
Joe Russo, who's been the coach at Palm Beach Gardens, has done a phenomenal job of getting players drafted. And it continued last night when first baseman Pavin Smith, who plays for Virginia now, used to play for Palm Beach Gardens, got drafted as the 6th pick by Arizona. And we played against them when you were at Centennial, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the local coaches here, I'm at Centennial, but a lot of the local coaches, we've all played either against opposing teams that have had players in the in college, or playing college, and it is pretty nice to see it either on TV when they're in the College World Series or in the playoffs, or just knowing in high school that you played against somebody that's in the pros or got drafted high, and it's really nice.
Yeah. And if you ever had been to Omaha, I know that's on our bucket list, and we got to get there one of these days. It's such a great setting. Now that they have the new Rosenblatt Stadium, it's quite different than the old one. The old one used to be a home run haven. This one, I think the over-under is 4 for the whole tournament, how many home runs they're going to hit.
Yeah, the big boppers kind of go away when you get to the College World Series. Florida and Florida State are 2 of the 8 teams in there. And both of those teams are really hot right now. Florida is more pitching dominated, whereas Florida State got a little bit of both. They have a couple guys that can hit the long ball, but like you said, in that stadium, the long ball is not what you need. You need the clutch 2-odd hits. You need a little bloop here and there, and you get solid pitching. So right now, I would say Florida has a very good chance with the pitching, but Florida State, who won their last game 18-0, to get to the final 8 seems to be one of the hotter teams out of the 8.
Right, and also on the topic of baseball, they're finally going to try to get that local senior game in. When is that going to be, Fred?
From what I understand yesterday, they've rescheduled the senior game that I think twice has already been rained on for next Thursday, which is going to be June 22nd, 3 o'clock out at Met Stadium. So if anybody can make it out there, that would be a great showcase. Hopefully the weather's going to be fine. Hopefully. Well, they've been rained out twice, but at 3 o'clock, 22nd, Met Stadium.
Stay for the Mets game.
And you can stay for the Mets game. They play after. So hopefully a lot of people can make it out. I know it's June. It's been almost a month since a lot of the players have played for their high school team. But, again, we talked about it last show. It's a very nice showcase for our local players.
Yes, and all the counties have been doing it. One more thing on high school sports. The FHSAA has the most prestigious award, is their Scholar Athlete Award. And they have an all-academic Scholar Athlete team that's consisted of eight females and 8 males. And in order to qualify, it's kind of difficult. You got to have probably over a 3.5. You have to play 2 or 3 sports for 3 years. You have to be involved in the community. You have to do extracurricular stuff that's non-athletics. I was on that committee for 20 years, and it's the highest award. And we had a local young lady, Allie Walker of the Pine School, was not only selected for the team, but she was the actual overall winner, and that's a very, very prestigious award, and congratulations to her on that.
Yeah, to win it is outstanding because I know when you were on the committee, you would come back and show me some of the resumes of statewide
you
student athletes that
played 4 sports for 4 years.
Going to Harvard, going to Yale, going to Stanford.
Yale. They do missionary work over the summer. It's just amazing.
And they wouldn't even be finalists. No. That would just be from the pool that you're picking from. So that's an outstanding award to win.
I always felt good after I got done with that. I always read the essays and read the resumes, and I always felt good in that. But again, congratulations to Allie Walker. That's a phenomenal accomplishment. All right. Are you ready? This is your turn. Since how many days we're going to college football?
Well, we know this is a high school show, but we got to talk about some college football.
We're running out of high school stuff, right?
Well, we'll get back to the high school. 81 days.
81 days, you sure?
81.
Is that 81 days to when the Canes play?
When I wake up, I look on my phone, and it reminds me.
Do you have a sign like I had for retirement? I was taking down the days?
I'm not that crazy yet, but I get the.
You're going to get there.
I'm getting there, but it's 81 days. Okay. For the Canes, and they play September 2nd, which, again, you have some big games like Alabama, Florida State.
Let's talk about this, okay? I just want to mention opening week, and I want you to listen very closely. Opening week, I think there's a game. Stanford's playing somebody in Australia or something like that a few days earlier. But the opening week, you have Alabama, FSU, Michigan, Florida, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Auburn and Clemson, and Miami and
BC.
BC's what?
Bethune-Cookman, September 2nd.
Okay, does that
at 6 o'clock?
Does that match up with some of these?
Not on September 2nd, but down the road we'll be fine.
But
we're easing into the season this year.
Easing
in.
You're easing in. You're taking a little walking.
We're taking the Baylor Baylor scheduling to another degree.
Baylor's at a different degree on that. Okay. Now, last week I gave my top 25, and it took me 3 days to figure out why I put LSU in there twice. Not that I'm a big fan.
So you had 24.
I had 24 and a half.
2 twice. Okay.
2 twice. And then I figured out I left out Stanford, okay? Now, very slowly, so you don't make the same mistake that I did, and this is going to be recorded for security purposes, and we're going to check, we're going to compare.
My agent, Cliff, he's got it all done.
Cliff's writing this all down right now. Wake up, Cliff, you got to write this down here, okay? So Cliff's writing this all down, and we're going to compare what you picked, what I picked, what these magazines pick, and these guys get thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars picking them, and I think we're going to do a better job. Okay. Your top 25, starting at 25, going down. Go slow down.
Well, first of all, I don't have Stanford in my top 25.
But I had him. Well, I left him out.
You left him out. So we're
you got LSU twice?
Well, I do have 225 teams.
Oh, Okay.
2. So I actually have 26,
You
but they're
got
tied.
26.
I got Texas and Tennessee at 25.
You really think Texas is going to that
well,
much?
well I put them at 20. They both begin with a T, so I have them going on 25. Texas, Tennessee.
Now,
I
wait a
couldn't
minute.
decide.
Before we go any further, did you do this or your wife did this?
I did this
Kathy
myself.
didn't do this?
Well, she gave me some hints.
I knew that was coming. Kathy had an input in this?
So 25,
Okay.
I got Texas and Tennessee.
Okay.
And again, Texas, new coach. Tennessee might have a new coach halfway through the season.
Halfway through
yeah,
the
if they don't have a good one. Okay. So I got them at 25. You have USF at 24, new coach.
Now,
And the schedule is what makes them there.
Is very easy. I think this is just my prediction. They're going to run the table.
Well, they might, but I don't think that they're going to be in a major bowl because they're not a Power 5.
Yeah, but they get a major bowl if they're the highest non-Power 5 school.
If they can get through there. I just think
I
that
think
with the
they
new
get through.
coach, they're going to slip up once or twice. No, they're going to have 9 or 10
They're
wins.
loaded.
They are loaded,
They're
yes.
loaded.
But I got them at 24. I got Vautech at 23.
Now, does that include a win or a loss over the Canes?
They play the Canes on a Thursday night, which
Where?
I'll be there
Where?
at Miami, in Miami.
Thursday night. You
Yeah,
gonna go to
which
school?
could be a very big game.
Are you going to go to school on Friday?
Yeah, I'll be at school.
Are you going to leave early on Thursday?
Games at 8.
You're going to leave early
No.
on Thursday. Yes, you are.
Work.
Yes, you
Canes.
are.
Work.
No, work, lunch, game, right? Okay, you're going to leave early that day.
So you got Vautech at 23. Then I got 22 Notre Dame.
Why?
Now I don't know why.
Wait a minute.
I debated on this because, Notre Dame's coach is under fire too.
Under fire.
Yeah,
he's on the fire.
He's on the fire.
Okay.
He might be fired.
He
So
might be
he's
fired.
another one. But I just think
Okay.
that he needs his job badly. They always have talent.
But
Their
who are they gonna
recruiting's
beat?
always
Do you
in the
see
top
their
5.
schedule?
I saw their schedule, but I think that they're going to hang around enough that they'll
So,
be in there.
So you're looking at 9 wins then.
For Notre Dame, no, they might end up with 8.
8 for
Well, with the schedule, when you got
Oh,
8
yeah,
wins, I
true.
mean
That's
that's a pretty
true.
solid
That's
schedule.
true.
They play Miami in Miami.
you're going to that game.
Yeah, I'll be at that
Are
game.
you-
Well, hopefully I can get tickets. But I'll be.
Are you asking on the air for tickets?
So
Yeah.
again, I think Notre Dame at 22. Now 21, I got at Florida.
What now? That was very difficult for you to put 21 at
It would, but I'll tell you right now, I think McElwain's on the hot seat.
Okay.
Randy Shannon's the D coordinator,
Who's going to do a great
who's
job?
doing a great job. Now he has only 3 guys on defense coming back. But one thing Randy Shannon can do is coach defense.
Right. He's
So
a
I
good
think
man.
that that's going to hold. What perplexes a lot of Gator fans is they have 9 returning offensive guys coming back.
Okay.
And they're still trying to find that elusive quarterback to kind of put them
Well,
over.
They got that Malik Zaire from
Right,
Notre
but again,
Dame.
it's a new system, new quarterback. It's kind of a transition.
Do
And they come right off the bat, first
Now,
game, big game.
Do they have restrictions over the summer on practicing, or can they practice right away?
They can practice without the coaches involved up to a certain point.
So the coaches can be up in the tower
exactly,
giving signals down.
the kids kind of run their own.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Or
there's
you-
only so much.
Or they
contact
can
per
take
week.
a trip to Italy, like Michigan did with
Meet the
Harbaugh.
Pope.
Meet the Pope and practice outside in the courtyard.
We're getting to Michigan.
Okay, you're getting to Michigan. Okay.
But anyhow, getting back
So
to Florida,
You're definitely on Florida with 20.
I got them at 21. I don't know if they're going to win the East. To me, it comes down to this is a big year there's a big year for a lot of coaches, but I think that he's wearing out his welcome now. What's his 3rd year coming up, McElwain?
Yes.
So recruiting to me has not been what Florida thought that they would be getting, and we'll find out. But Randy Shannon, I think, solid defense, even though he lost a lot of players. 21. I got 20 UCLA.
Now, talk about somebody on the hot seat. What has Jim Moore done? And I like Jim Moore. What has he done?
Well, I think right now he's got a quarterback that's probably going to go 1 or 2 in the draft next
Right.
year, Rosen.
Right.
They got a new offensive coordinator. It used to be at Miami, a guy named Jed Fish.
Right.
And I just think, again, with the talent that they have, they had a down year. They weren't even 500 last year. I think they're going to bounce back. So I got them at 20.
But I'm looking at their schedule right in front of me here. I have my handy book here. Open up with Texas A&M. Then they go to Hawaii. Then they go to Memphis. That could be a trip-up game right there at Memphis. Then they got at Stanford, Colorado. Oregon's going to be much better, right? At Washington, at Utah, at USC. That's a bunch of losses in there, Fred.
But again, to me, it balances out. Like last year, I think they lost a lot of games. Then Rosen got hurt. But they had the nucleus of, I think, a nice team. They have 7-7 offense and defense coming back. So they have 7 offensive returners and 7 defense.
They ended up 4-8 last
4-8,
year,
right.
losing to Cal 36-10 last game.
Right, with no quarterback in
With
the
no
last 4 or
quarterback.
5. So I just think it's a bounce back
Okay.
year for UCLA.
Okay.
19,
Yes.
I got Mr. Harbaugh, who visits the Pope.
You got him that.
I got him 19.
Why?
You heard me. They got four
you,
offense.
you got him dropped. You dropped him a lot.
He went to see the Pope because he only has 4 offensive guys back and 4 defensive returners back. So I think Michigan's in for
Wait, let's see what they got here.
they're in for eye opener.
Unlike the Canes, they open up with Florida.
Florida, right.
Okay, then they have Cincinnati and Air Force at home. And then they got Purdue, Michigan State, Indiana. Those are all wins. Now here's the big one. October 21st at Penn State. Then they got my college in New Jersey coming up. You think they can stay? What did they lose, 65-0?
What's the spread? 50?
Last year, they lost 78-0.
Yeah, we got
They
50,
missed the
50
extra
this
point.
year.
They missed. Didn't Rutgers lose and you know, this is really killing me. This is my hometown school here down the corner. They lost last year 39-0 to Penn State, 49-0 to Michigan State, 78-0 to Michigan, 58-0 to Ohio State. And Ohio State and Michigan were back-to-back.
But they're going to be better this year because didn't Coach Neinstein, the offensive coordinator now?
Oh, yeah.
He grew up with them.
They grew up with the offensive coordinator. All right, so we're going to take a break right now. We'll come back with the rest of Fred's Top 25.
You're listening to the Quit Doc Coach's Corner on both WPSL and WSTU.
The most devastating blow struck our communities. Big tobacco is targeting the best that we possess, our teens. I have anticipated that this would befall us, that big tobacco would exploit the naivete of our teens. What more nefarious and contemptuous than to prey on the youth of our society in order to benefit themselves financially? Diabolical. Our children, soon to be teens, and teens will not succumb to the ill tactics of big tobacco. Big tobacco, I ask you, is it worth profiting off of the deaths and injuries of our youth? Is it your plan to create a constant stream of fiends as consumers to perpetuate your economic gain? In my young age, I must reach out and plead. Brothers and sisters, resist this iniquitous influence. Fathers and mothers, save the youth, for big tobacco only envisions a lucrative pit of despair for all those who become victims of consumption.
A message from the Quit Doc Foundation of Martin County.
Don't miss Rodgers and Hammerstein's Tony Award-winning musical, The King and I. The summer musical presented by the St. Lucie County School Board. The story of a widowed school teacher who becomes the tutor to the many children of the King of Siam.
Getting to know you, getting to know all.
This grand and glorious production features a 31-piece live orchestra and a cast of 77 talented St. Lucie County students. More than your eyes have ever seen, more than your heart has ever known. The King and I, on stage June 14th through the 18th at the Port St. Lucie High School Auditorium, with evening and matinee performances. Tickets are $15. Get yours at Jay's Fine Jewelry, St. Lucie West, Perkins Restaurant in Port St. Lucie, Honey Baked Ham in Stewart, Joy's Ice Cream in Port St. Lucie and in Fort Pierce, the Tin Fish Restaurant in Port St. Lucie, and at Port St. Lucie High School. Call 337-6768 for information. Don't miss The King and I, the must-see presentation of the summer.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
And now, back to the Quit Doc Coach's Corner. Fred Almade's here with his buddy John Messina.
And when we left, Fred was going right down the road here, and we're up to 19. We're down to 19.
Michigan was 19.
Michigan was 19. Who's 18?
I got 18, a Pirate from Washington State, who to me could be a dark horse. They have, I got them at 18, but they have 7 offensive starters back, and they got a great quarterback coming back.
Yeah, a very good
He
quarterback.
was thinking about going to the pros, a kid named Falk. And then they also have 9 defensive guys, and one of the things Washington State never was noted for was their defense, but they have 9 starters back. And they got the Pirate out there, so I think they could make some waves in the Pac-10. Then 17, and I know this is going to be a surprise, you got Clemson. I just think that they lost too much at the quarterback position. I got them 17, which is every one I've seen has them in the top 10.
But you know what? They could play very well, lose to Auburn, lose to Louisville, lose to Florida State, and they're 9-3, and that's probably right where they'll be. And
meaning 17.
They could play very well at 9-3.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I got them at that. I think last year a lot of things went their way. You know, that NC State game when they won and the kid missed a chip shot, and then they win it in overtime. So a lot of things got to go well. I got Louisville at 16. I got the Heisman Trophy winner back.
Do you think he could be even better, which is hard to...
From the offensive side. I think their problem has always been the defensive side. So I got them at 16. I got the old man, I say that with respect, at Kansas State.
Bill Snyder.
78, 77, how old is he?
78. Do you know they say that he gets more out of his players than him and the coach from Navy than any other school?
And he has more respect in that conference, not only because of his age, but what he does with the talent. But I think they're going to have a nice team. 15, they got 9 offensive starters back.
Wow.
They got their quarterback back. So, Kansas State could be one that could slide in there. A couple games go their way that you think they're going to lose. I got them at 15.
Now, this is the first year that the Big 12, which is not the Big 12 because it's only 10, is having a championship. And they're taking the top 2 teams, no division.
Correct.
So
maybe that's why Bob Stoops got out. It'll be harder to win now.
That was a shock, wasn't it?
The inner circle from Oklahoma State, they said it really wasn't. That his father died young at 54. Yeah. He was a high school coach in Youngstown, Ohio, and he always wanted to quote unquote enjoy life. I think he has twin boys that are seniors in high school, and a daughter that goes to college and plays on one of the teams at Oklahoma State. And he said, I never really had time to watch him play. So at 56, and he doesn't need the money, he's still going to work for the president.
And he's going to be on game day.
He'll be on game day.
He'll be on game day.
I think. I don't think he'll be coming back. I don't think he'll pull an Urban Meyer. So we have Kansas State at 15. I got the LSU Tigers at 14. I only have them in there once.
Why?
They're on 14.
I had them at 11-7.
11-7.
I think I was playing.
You thought you were going to 11-7, so you picked them up.
7-11. I picked them twice.
Well,
all right, now. A lot depends, and I'm looking at their schedule right now. A lot depends if they're home or away. Okay? Now, they open up against BYU at a neutral site, okay? But they have Florida at home. No, excuse me. They have Auburn at home. They have Arkansas at home, okay? But they go to Alabama. They go to Tennessee. They go to Ole Miss, who nobody even knows if Ole Miss is going to even be allowed to play this year.
But LSU can't figure out who their quarterback is going to be, which has been their problem the last couple of years.
That's absolutely correct.
And I'm a big person that your quarterback, especially in the pros, but a lot in college, kind of puts you in the ball game. So that's why I have them at 14. I have the Georgia Bulldogs at 13. They have 10 guys coming back on defense, and their quarterback, who's a sophomore. Few breaks go their way, they could even be better than 13.
Well, let's look at their schedule. In their second week, they go to Notre Dame. That could be a big win up there if they go to Notre Dame and win that. And then, they go to Tennessee. They play Florida at the neutral site, of course. But if they can get by Notre Dame and Tennessee, they can nice run.
And again, I have them rated, over Florida and over Tennessee, and a couple breaks because again, the quarterback that they have is very good, and he has a year under his belt. He played as a true freshman. They got 10 back on defense, so got the offensive side seems to be okay, and then defensively, you got 10 back, and a couple breaks their way, and you never know. But I got them sitting there at 13.
Well, I think that game with Notre Dame is going to be a make or break, either one of those teams.
Yeah, a lot of teams, 1 or 2 games make or break. Yeah. It can go either way, and it sets the tone for your season, especially since they're playing them early.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, I got my Canes at 12. I got, and I'll tell you the reason.
Okay.
Everybody has a little lower. Their schedule for the Canes really helps them this year. I know you're making fun of them playing Bethune-Cookman, but
not just Bethune-Cookman, and I'm a Canes fan too. But after they get by the Bethune-Cookman team, then they go and they play who?
They got Florida State on the road.
Second game.
Third game.
Who's the second game? You skipped one. Arkansas State.
Arkansas State.
Okay, so they win the first 2 games by a combined 80-0.
Right.
They got to win that Florida State game.
Well, even if they don't, I think they're more mature this year. Now, they've lost 8 straight years, which hurts. But if you look at the rest of their schedule after Florida State, win or lose, I mean, it's very manageable. They got Notre Dame at home. They got Va Tech at home.
That's big.
Yeah.
Playing at Va Tech. And
Right.
that Thursday
It's
night
tough.
game
And they got
is
the
tough.
Canes got them at home.
Yeah.
They do have to go to North Carolina. Is always giving them fits. Last year they lost at home. So, but again, their schedule's manageable. They got Notre Dame at home.
Wow.
So again, when you're looking at, okay, let's get through Florida State. Even if you lose, you still can go 10-2, win the Coastal. As my friend Jamie Szyminski says, win the Coastal,
And then
and then you play for it
the
all.
championship.
Play for it and see what happens.
Wow.
They've never been in the ACC title
now,
game.
when they got moved into the ACC,
I think it's the 13th year coming up.
all right, they used to be the Big East.
Big
right?
East, the Big East.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would think that in baseball and football, they were going to dominate. If you want to be honest, the best sport that has gone into the ACC has been basketball.
Basketball. Yes.
They have done tremendous in basketball, which I thought would be the hardest for them.
Yeah, it's been kind of a perplexing situation because I think even they're frustrated on the athletic department that they can't turn the corner. So, but again, I look at them at 12 at a manageable schedule, and you go 10-2, even if you play for the title game. I mean, this
10-2
could be
is going to put them in the top 10.
the big thing for the Canes. Because I was reading a couple articles on them. Is Rick really likes the defensive seven. He has a lot of depth. And that's what carried Clemson for a lot of years. Carries FSU. Their defensive seven, but also their depth. And he likes the depth until they figure out the quarterback situation. But I got them at 12.
Okay.
I got Oklahoma at 11. A lot of people have them higher. I think the coaching situations, not going to throw them for a loop, but it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment.
And
now, 11's still not bad.
They have the big quarterback, Baker Mansfield, back, correct?
Right. They got a lot of things going for them, but I just think that coaching adjustment might cost them one game here and there. And we already talked about them possibly playing in the title game. Surprise, I got number 10. I got TCU.
I kind of agree with you in a way because they usually do not have two bad years in a row, and they had a bad year last year for them.
And their coach, Gary Patterson, is a defensive guy, and he's given up oodles of points, which I can tell really doesn't make him happy.
Right.
But they got 10 guys coming on offensive side plus a quarterback that's pretty dynamic, and they got 8 returning defensive players. So when you're looking at who's returning plus the quarterback plus get a little fire in the belly because they had a bad year last year, I think they could go really far. So I got them in the top 10, which a lot of places I haven't seen them in the top 25.
Do you have any Big 12 schools ahead of TCU?
I have, looking at my list, Oklahoma State.
So now if they go the top 2, in your prediction would be Oklahoma State, TCU for the conference
For the conference, which they haven't never had. So,
do you like the idea that they're not having divisions? They're just taking the top 2 teams? It would have really kind of settled that thing in the Big Ten last year where Penn State beat Ohio State and Michigan beat.
And they didn't play some.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs to have a uniform system.
Right.
I think that's one of the problems when it's all said and done. They're still not, it's better than the BCS, but they're still not a uniform system. And I mean, that was their way of resolving the issue. Let's just play the top 2.
And if you think about it, we really have not had a big-time controversy yet picking that 3rd or 4th team in.
It's kind of worked itself out.
It's worked itself out. Everybody says it's going to work out. I'm waiting for the one year we have the controversy.
Well,
we have 5 undefeated teams or 6 teams with 1 loss, something like that.
Well, right now they're all early in the season, a lot of big games.
Yes.
Going to decide a lot of things down at the games in the beginning, I think, are going to decide some of the controversy at the end.
Absolutely.
I got Wisconsin at 9.
Okay.
I think everybody has them in the top 10. I think the Big Ten is going to be really good this year. Yeah. They got 9 starters back on offense and 8 on defense also. Then I got 8. I got Ohio State. So Urban Meyer just keeps rolling along. My buddy Urban.
They have the quarterback who's been there for 4 years now.
Well,
right?
he started last year, and the year before that he got hurt, didn't start. It helps to have a quarterback. They got 9 offensive starters and 9 defensive starters. And
now, with them, their big game out of conference is they're home against Oklahoma.
Right.
Okay, now last year, that Oklahoma win is what kept them over Penn State in the playoffs.
And again, these games in the beginning,
I
think are coming back that help or hurt certain teams. Right. But I got them at 8, at 7 and 6, back to back. I got Auburn at 7. And Roll Tide, RT, at 6. I just don't think Auburn's going to have enough to get into. I mean, Alabama's going to have enough to get into the top 4. Just something. I think this year is just not going to be right.
Well,
some things aren't going to fall their way.
If they beat Florida State, then they go Fresno State, Colorado State at home, at Vanderbilt, Ole Miss at home, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU. So before they get to that LSU game, if they beat Florida State, they could be 8-0 going into that game.
Right.
And then they finish up with Mississippi State. And then, for some reason, the SEC, Week 11 or the 11th game, they always play, a Division II team. They have,
right. Before the rivalry game,
right.
or whatever you want to call it.
And it's not just Alabama and Auburn. It's the whole conference that they play a game that week. They play, I hate to say a lesser school, but it's not, not a top 25 school that week.
I just don't think, not that Alabama's not going to be good, because, they'll probably have 2 losses. I just think this is the year they're going to have a couple losses, going to keep them out. Auburn got the transfer quarterback from Baylor a couple of years ago.
And he's very good.
And Auburn needed a quarterback.
Jared Sindem was his name.
So he played a couple years ago. He sat out. So I think, again, Auburn's one of those teams. Last year when they play Alabama tough, a few breaks here and there, a few calls could have went. But, I got them. I got them 7. I got Alabama 6.
Now, Auburn's big is going to be week 2 against Clemson. They go to Clemson to play. That's a big turnaround game for one of those teams.
And again, something early could come back late in the year.
Yep.
Then number 5, I got Washington. They got their quarterback back. Excellent coach. They got 7 offense, 7 defensive starters. They were one of the 4 last year, one of the final 4.
Right.
They know how to win. Now maybe they can get back there. But they're going to have a tough challenge because the Pac-10 is going to be pretty tough this year.
Right.
All right, my final 4.
Okay. And these are the ones you picked.
This is who I think are going to, when it's all done and said and done, come out. I got FSU at 4. Now, where they could run into trouble is their schedule could be one of the best in the country. I mean, hardest in the country.
You got them opening up with Alabama.
Correct.
University of Louisiana at Monroe, then Miami, North Carolina State, Wake Forest, Duke, but then they got Louisville, Boston College, Syracuse at Clemson, Delaware State at Florida.
And at Florida.
The only advantage that they have with that Alabama game, if they lose a close game and run the table and then win the ACC, they can get in.
Right.
They'll definitely get in.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, one of their concerns to me is because they got a lights-out defense and they got the James kid back who was hurt last year.
Right.
Is how much they're going to miss Cook, their running back.
Yes.
Because they got a kid coming in from Mississippi, a freshman that's supposed to be as good as Cook. But, I don't know, the games I watched, Cook put them over. When they needed something, he put them over the top. He made the big play, the big run. He did it for 3 years. He was durable. When you thought he was hurt, he would come back in the fourth quarter and gain 150 yards. So I think that's going to be a big factor early on. Can they survive without him, although they have a good quarterback. Francois is back.
Francois is a freshman.
He was a freshman. He'll be back sophomore. He got another year.
Yeah.
A little dark horse here, number 3, I got Oklahoma State.
Okay.
So, they were last year, they were neck and neck with Oklahoma.
Right.
They had a few slip, again, a couple of things didn't go
And they
their way.
had, talking about referees' calls, that game, who did they lose that game to?
Early in the year, they had that one call that that they didn't get, and
They
that
went
kind of
into
hurt 'em.
overtime. They lost to Central Michigan 30-27 when they
On a
gave them
disputed call.
an extra play in overtime.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So now their schedule, their 4th week they got TCU. Well, in the Big 12, since everybody plays everybody, you're locked into 9. Okay. Then you're out of conference games. They have Tulsa, South Alabama, and Pittsburgh. So I know Pittsburgh's decent,
Right.
but there's no powerhouse there. So
Meaning
they
that
should win
they
those-
better win.
They better win those 3.
Not only that, they better win in the conference.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to have
They're
going to
have strength of schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not going to have that room for error that maybe a Florida State would have. But I just think that some years you think a team's going to make it, and I got them at 3. I got Penn State at 2.
Okay.
And a lot of that is based on end of the year last year. I thought they played really well. And I think they made a couple mistakes in the big game when they were in the Final Four that now, you've been there once. Now you can see what you can and can't do. But I got them going over Penn State, over Wisconsin. So, the Big Ten's going to be good. But,
And
over Michigan also.
If you watch the recruiting or follow the recruiting, they're really picking up the recruiting now in the New Jersey, New York area, Pennsylvania area, that they were losing when they were down all these years after the probation.
It's crazy. We thought they were death penalty and all this kind of stuff. And Franklin's, they had O'Brien in there, and he's kind of kept them rolling.
Do you
and then
think
Franklin
Bill
put 'em up.
O'Brien, the job he did holding everything together?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah,
it's
without
tremendous.
I think it wore on him, though. It was hard.
Yeah.
Hard, but, he made it there. Yeah. And Franklin's done a good job. Now, my number one, my first seed, which would, to me, play Florida State, is USC.
Right, and we both agree on that. We
Right.
both agree that USC was the top team in the nation coming back. They have the tough Pac-12 schedule.
They have, hypothetically, the kid that's going to be the number one pick in the draft next year, the quarterback. They got defense that returns 9 starters. I think their schedule is manageable.
Okay, they open up with Western Michigan. Then they got Stanford and Texas.
Right.
So
And again, I don't have Stanford in my 25, but they're close to it. And Texas is right outside the 25.
Now
Manageable games.
They do go to Washington State.
Which, again, could be a tough one because the Pirate out there throws it around, and you never know what the weather's going to be.
And also then, coming down the end, they'll have the rivalry game with UCLA.
But if you look at their schedule
Yeah.
and you look who they have coming back, I just think it's one of them years that they're going to be one of the Final Four. And we all know once you get into the 4, just like Ohio State found out last year losing 31-0, you never know what's going to happen. You got to get into that 4. But that's my
your
25.
Your Final Four would be USC playing
Florida State,
Penn State,
and Oklahoma State.
Okay, so we have this recorded for security purposes, and
put it in the vault, Cliff.
Put it in the vault, Cliff. You got that?
All right, you got it.
Okay, I'm glad. We got Cliff there. A few other things, and we'll just talk about in a few minutes we have left over. The 5 coaches that you would think are on the hot seat. Now, one's so hot on the seat that I think you and I kind of agree he's not going to make it to start, is Hugh Freeze over in Mississippi.
If they're supposed to have some kind of ruling come down in the next couple weeks from the NCAA, so a lot of times colleges kind of, quote-unquote, cut their losses. So let's hope he starts the year for his sake, but I don't know. It's getting kind of warm. NCAA is getting kind of warm.
Yeah. And then I think we both agree that the 2 Arizona coaches, Todd Graham and Rich Rodriguez, are on the hot seat.
Well, I think the Todd Graham got the kiss of death yesterday. They didn't renew his usually they give you a 1-year renewal every year for recruiting purposes, and they didn't give him that extra year. So
did they ask him, are you renting your house or did you buy your house?
Well, they were taking resumes.
They were taking resumes.
Yeah. The national search has started.
Right.
He just doesn't know it.
And Kevin Sullivan, and I was watching the Paul Feinbaum show. The AD comes on there and he says right on the air, you got to win. He says, I won 9 games last year. You got to win.
I don't have them in my top 25. They're, there's something about Texas A&M. Every year they're in the top 7, 8 recruiting. And
is there any truth that Johnny Manziel's trying to get a red shirt year coming back, taking graduate courses?
Maybe he'll put in for the job if he has a chance.
Yeah, that's okay. And then we have Jim Moore that we talked about at UCLA. We would think he's definitely on the hot seat there. And he's got to come through. You don't go 4-8 at UCLA.
And again, I mentioned I think they're going to bounce back. Their quarterback was hurt. We didn't mention our buddy from Notre Dame.
Well, I'm saving him. I got 2. These are my 2 that I really think might go. Brian Kelly, what did they go, 4-8 last year?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, they lost to Navy. They lost to Duke. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, both of them were home. He's got to go 9 wins. Worst 9-3. 8-4 might squeak him by.
I think he's going to go 8-4. I got him in top, but their schedule's so tough. They got a tough schedule.
It's tough. And then the guy that we forget about, and somehow every time you think he's gone, he wins a big game. Every time you think he's doing good, he loses to a poor team. Our buddy over at Arkansas, Brett Belmont, who's a very entertaining person.
When you have your own TV show,
your own TV reality show,
being Brent Bilma. on the ESPN. On
I mean, I love
SEC
the show.
Network.
I hate to say it. I watched it. I really like him and stuff like that.
I think he's going to make it because, first of all, nobody knows where Arkansas is. So it's one of those states that just kind of sit out there.
I like Arkansas.
But
I really
I don't
do.
know. He's another. You're right. He'll win a big one, lose one.
I mean,
win one.
I tell you one thing. He speaks very well. I can see how he recruits. He recruits a lot of kids from South Florida.
But you got to win. It's the SEC.
The
SEC.
But,
you have to win.
But we talked about this for many years, especially in the SEC West. Some teams go up. Somebody's got to go down. Okay. Now we're both saying ourselves the Mississippis are going to go down. Arkansas is going to go down. A&M is going to go down, which means LSU, Auburn, and Alabama are up. Which kinds about. But you can't. Everybody can't be up because you play each other. You know. Another topic that I was thinking about, and kind of looking up, the 5 toughest places to play. And what we're going to do is we're going to knock out the SEC because everybody knows it's tough to play in every stadium there. So here's the 5 college football stadiums that just have the great home field or the tradition, and it's very, very tough to play. And again, you could put every school in the SEC in there because they all hold 100,000. Okay, the 5 we have would be Oregon. Place is packed that only holds 50,000, 55,000, and it's packed all the time. I mean, I saw some of those facilities they have for baseball, which is phenomenal. And for girls softball, it's like 5,000. I mean, they really do. Who's that? Phil Knight up there with Oregon, right?
With the Nike
money, okay? Then tradition, Newt Rockne, Rudy, Ara Parsegian. You got to put Notre Dame.
Touchdown Jesus. Yeah, you got Notre Dame.
You got to put Notre Dame, okay?
I got you.
You got to put Notre Dame. Now, there's a little difference. Notre Dame winning and Notre Dame losing is a big difference. When Notre Dame's on a roll, I mean, very few teams have their own national network like NBC.
Right, and NBC's getting a little.
They're getting a little antsy.
A little antsy, right?
They're talking about, do we renew the contract or not? All right, Ohio State, 102,000 people. The band, dotting the I. Okay, it's packed all the time. First game of the year. They're playing Eastern something, and they're chanting, "We want Michigan," right? So you figure Ohio State. But then on the other side, we got Michigan Stadium, okay? The big house.
Right.
Okay? Whoever plays that game, which is so tremendous, no matter if you like those teams or not, you know, the tradition in that and the stories in them, you think about Woody Hayes and Bo Schellbecker, you know, what a tremendous thing. But I think the most traditional place, and probably for high schools, and I mean for colleges, I'm leaving a lot out, would be playing in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. That's got to be, you know, it just sticks out.
I've been to the Rose Bowl, not for a game, but I've been there. Just the beauty of where it sits in Pasadena. When you're looking, I've been in the Coliseum. I saw a USC game, and you're sitting there and you're overlooking the mountains, and you're thinking of tradition. I mean, it's pretty special.
The Coliseum, you think of the Olympics.
You think of the Olympics, but the Rose Bowl, you think of all the big games.
Coliseum still has the track going
It
around
still does,
yeah.
it still does. So, I mean, you're right. Those are 2 that are iconic.
Yeah.
I'd throw another one in there. I'd throw Clemson.
Clemson is tough.
You know, Death Valley.
Yeah.
I know we don't want to talk about the SEC, but I'd throw Clemson in there. Florida State.
Florida
sometimes you
State's
throw
tough.
a night game at Florida State in there. So
And you know, and again, if you want to go to the SEC, a night game at LSU.
Right, Death Valley.
A night game at LSU, you know. But, you know, we're trying to figure out a few other things. And one thing I saw in the college football book, the top 5 college football helmets. Think of this.
Don't put Michigan in there.
No, I didn't put Michigan
Everybody puts Michigan. I don't get it.
This is what they picked here, okay? UAB, they have a football helmet with a dragon and scales on it. Boy, that should just scare you, right? If you're in a pilot, you see a dragon and scales.
They still have a football team? Or are they selling those at Walmart?
Didn't he drop it and then
they
came back?
Right?
They came back. Yeah, they came back.
All right.
Okay. All right, but everybody.
That's a mercy pick. Okay.
All right. SMU Mustangs.
Ponies.
A Mustang silhouette filled with stars and stripes on a blue helmet. Okay.
Are they still on the death penalty? Are they off the death
Eric
penalty?
Dickerson.
It's 35 years later.
All right.
Okay.
I didn't pick this. I'm just reading out of the
another
book.
Mercy pick. Okay.
Okay. Louisville. Now you saw those one. The Cardinals with the the mascot, and it's not really a cardinal. It looks like a vulture on there. I mean, it's pretty cool. They're like the silver.
When I see Louisville, I see Bobby Petrino riding a motorcycle. I don't look at the helmets.
He was riding a motorcycle in Arkansas.
Maybe he's wearing a helmet.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe, okay.
Did he wear a Louisville or an Arkansas helmet? All right, Boise State. Okay, they got that color blue for the field.
What do you think of Boise State? You think of the blue turf. You don't think of the helmet. I can't even picture the helmet right now, but the blue turf I can picture.
And the best helmet by far, and they do this every year, is Army and Navy. The Navy puts destroyers on it. The Army puts a tank on it. It's absolutely wonderful. How much do you think they go for?
I don't know, but anything that the military does now is really cool.
So talking about the military, are we planning on going to the FAU Navy game, right?
Right now we are, yeah.
Right now we're going.
FAU Navy at FAU.
We're going to go down early and march in with the midshipmen.
It's on a Friday night.
It's on a Friday. You're not going to work,
Which should be cool. No.
I got to check my busy schedule, Probably will work. Greg will have us announcing some game somewhere, on that. But, again, this is kind of the downtime because, like you said, basketball's over. Hockey's over. And, college baseball.
Softball's over.
College baseball's
almost over.
Yankees are playing well, if you want to put that in there, a little bit. But, we're kind of looking out. We're going to try to get, and I'm going to put Fred on the spot, we're going to try to get the new basketball coach from Port St. Lucie, John Piccarini, on in the next week or so. And then you coach with John. John was the assistant coach when I came up years ago. They had Kirshner. He took over, did a great job, went to the Final Four. Then he went to Indian River.
And we won the region there.
Won the region there. But we'll try to get John.
Coach Pick will be on next week.
We'll try to get Coach Pick on, but we want to thank everybody for listening to another week of Coach's Corner.
You've been listening to the Quit Doc Coach's Corner, heard every Tuesday evening in the 6 o'clock hour. You can go to our YouTube presence and look up the archives of this show at WPSLTV.com. You're listening to WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast. This is also WSTU Stewart, Martin County's Heritage Station. Sneaking up on news time, 7 o'clock.